So do you want to know if you run a personal training business or you just work for yourself or really just work for your client? All you need to do is just answer this really simple question. If you were replaced by another personal trainer in your business, would everything still run the same? If I came to your business tomorrow, could you hand me the key and the client acquisition be the same? The onboarding be the same? The coaching experience, the check-ins, the fundamentals of the programming model, the nutrition protocols, the data interpretation, the administration, the admin handling, the budget management, the resources and the resource creation, the events, the prospecting, the sales, the phone calls, the consults, the price presentations, the wow sessions, the training sessions, the movement assessments. Is every one of those things in your business repeatable? If it's not, you're working for yourself, or worse, you're working for your clients. And long term, that's not what we want for you. That makes things really, really challenging. Why is it so important? Well, because if something's repeatable, then it's predictable. And if it's predictable and it's not giving the outcomes that we want, we can change it. So if you're seeing a trend in all of your clients' check-ins dropping off at about week 6, then we know that we can build something into week 5 to make sure that it lowers the chance that that happens. We can increase the buy-in from our clients. We've got lots of clients walking around with shoulder problems. Then it's likely that the protocol we're going through for programming is breaking down somewhere. It's not working. So we can go and address that problem rather than just blaming the clients don't train well. Just as important as all of that, perhaps even more important, is the time wasted by personal trainers rebuilding the wheel every single time they do something. Every time they make a phone call, it's different. Every time they do a consult, it's different. Every time they do a training session, it's different. Every time they set up a program, it's different. Every time they manage a payment, it's different. You might think that it's personalization and I build relationships and blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna sit here and tell you I'm sorry, but that shit just doesn't matter in terms of a client relationship. What they want is to feel understood, feel heard, feel seen. And if you're wasting all of your time rebuilding structures and sending the same message 400 times every time you put on a client, they're not actually going to experience what you think they will. What they might experience is you're doing an onboarding on a Friday afternoon when you're tired instead of a Tuesday afternoon when you feel fresh and excited about the week. And the message is a little bit shorter and the tone in the video is a little bit more rough. And the quality is not quite as good, and they can sense that your mood's not quite in it, and all of a sudden their experience isn't as good at all. It's actually way worse. And what this also does is those Fridays become more common because you're chasing your tail with all of this system stuff all the time. You're spending so much time on stuff working in your business on stuff that just doesn't really matter. You're not training people, you're not attracting new people to you, you're not building things that would improve the value. You're just doing this repetitive work that just isn't executed very well. What I'm gonna do is give you 5 areas that you can hone in on and just test, do I have systems in this area? Is it repeatable? If something was going wrong in there, would I know? And how much time am I wasting when I could have made a resource, made a video, put a system in place that would streamline this, that I could do it the same every single time and make life a lot easier for myself. The first one is planning. You should have a weekly check-in for yourself. And the personal trainers that get on their stories and cry that no one's checked in this week on their fancy ass spreadsheet, that don't even have a business check-in for themselves, they don't have a performance metric to look at every single week for themselves, is wild. The hypocrisy is crazy. So if you are one of those personal trainers, I've just called you out a little bit, but this is your opportunity to make a change. You should be looking at things like retention rates, appointments made, calls made, close ratios, how many cancellations did you have, new leads, appointments, sales, suspensions, and then maybe some other KPI stuff that you set for the week. I said I was gonna do X, Y, Z. Did you execute that? The second area of your business that you need systems in is your systems. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but bear with me. So you wanna create a new onboarding process, right? Let's say, for example, do you just randomly open a document and start? And who knows what comes out at the end, what platform it's in, how we actually get to it ever again. We just go build the thing and then that's it. Rather than sitting down and identifying, like a needs analysis you would do with your client, what do I actually need here and what solutions do I need to provide with this process? And then right through step 1 through to step infinity, what do I actually need to do and how will this work? When I pick up the phone, I'm gonna say this. When I get the appointment, I'm gonna send these resources. In the consultation, I'm gonna say this and present this amount of value. In the wow session, I'm gonna choose from one of these 3 sessions. Then in the sales presentation, I'm gonna show all of this and then I'm gonna price present at this point. When I go through all of those steps, then go build all of those things, I can come back and go, actually, there's a breakdown here. This part doesn't work. I need to make a change to this system. So systemizing your approach to systems will even improve your business that way. So have a think about, how do you create the systems you have in your business? Did you just do it one time and then decided, well, that's how I do everything now? Because if you have, and I have done that a lot, you're probably actually not doing it as efficiently as you possibly could, and potentially not as effectively for you and or the client in that model as well. So you're actually pulling back potential from your client's results by not sitting down and actually fundamentally thinking about, what does the client need here? What does the client need there? And how do I best deliver that for them? So the third one is their service. Most personal trainers can't even describe what they do. A lot of the times on our Standout PT exploration calls, I'll ask someone, so I've just sat down with you and you're about to do your price presentation. Tell me what you do. Tell me your service. So what you need to do here is write it down. What's every single part of your coaching service that you offer to people? And then you can take that, boil it down to 2 to 3 tiers of service instead of the 10 that I know that you probably have. If you're looking at me strangely, I mean, it's once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, or it's online premium, online fortnightly, online monthly. They're your options. There's no without nutrition and with a call and without a call and blah, blah, blah. No. Put your packages together so they're simple for your clients to understand. We'll talk about this more obviously in the sales video, but this is really, really important to get right. And we only get this right if we have a system in place. So for the client, that looks like I get this. There's a variable in what I get, and there's a price variable that is directly linked to that variable. I don't have 18 different choices that I get. I need to think about it every single time I do a consultation. So document what you do and be able to communicate it and express it really, really effectively. What you'll also find through this process and creating this system is, or systemizing your service much more, is identifying, hey, I actually provide quite a lot of value. And maybe I should be a little bit more confident when I sit down with prospects. And maybe I'm dropping the ball on not getting my clients to use all of this stuff and they're not making the most of it. And I could deliver better results if I were to just shine a light on all of this stuff that my clients have access to and remind them and direct them to it. It'll really make a difference to your business, to your retention and to your client outcomes. So a lot of my language today has kind of fallen into that sales place anyway, but that's such an important system that most personal trainers don't have. They send generic messages, make generic phone calls, and wonder why they don't end up with enough prospects, enough consults, and enough clients, because it's still sort of underneath expecting people come to them just because they've got the shirt. So much time can be wasted on poor sales as well. When we talked about people chasing their tail as personal trainers and not actually having time to do the thing that's important to them. The reason we talk about sales so much is so you can do it less. You want to be really effective on the phone and in consults and in sales and onboarding, all of those things. You don't have to do 400 calls a week. You want to be able to do a couple and get the outcome that you want. So stepping through every stage of your sales process and just identifying, well, what's the system that's in place here? Exactly how is this played out? And then reviewing it, like we said, every single week to make sure that you're performing the way that you would like. Now, last one is skills. So a lot of people are really confident with what they do. They're quite confident with their programming, their nutrition, etc. And most people I speak to, and in the scorecard, the link is actually in the description for our scorecard. So the next one is skills. And most people we deal with are really confident with their skills. We actually have a Standout PT Scorecard that allows trainers to go in and see where they stack up against what we believe to be the leaders in the industry and what's the premium level of personal training business in the industry right now. It literally takes like 4 or 5 minutes. You go through, answer a bunch of questions. You get a 10-page review with all the resources to go and improve each area of your business. But when we find people do this quiz, they often answer really, really high in the skills component of that. They're really confident in their programming, their nutrition, their coaching, their ability to get someone a result. But what happens when we push that a little bit further into, okay, so tell me how you program. Tell me how you put nutrition protocols together. And it becomes this like guy on a whiteboard everywhere, not really clear model that's not, again, repeatable. So I know that when I used to do that, I used to hand over programs and I knew all of my clients were getting results, but I'd still hand over a program or make a change with technique and think, you know, I really hope that works. I really hope I'm right with this. And most of the time, sure, I was, but a lot of the time, or some of the time, I missed the mark. And it was just because I didn't have a system in place. Now we follow really clear models for how we program for strength, how we program for physique. We have a tiered model of nutrition that we know how to identify where someone needs to be, plug them into the right model, and then chip away at that and customize it for them over time. What that does is remove so much noise from your brain and allow you to just to execute in a much more efficient and ultimately effective, because you learn faster, way with your clients. And you'll be more confident with what you're delivering on the back end of that. Again, perhaps all of this is leading to you charging a little bit more, getting a little bit better results with your clients, getting better retention, doing less sales. And it all just comes back to putting in really great systems. So yeah, I did mention the scorecard. It is in the description if you want to go check that out. Go for it. It's totally free. But I hope the take home of this video is really clear. And the way I would do it is really straightforward. Sit down as a client in your business and sign up with yourself. What's the phone call feel like through to the consult, through to the sales, through to onboarding, through to check-in, through to resources, through to using the app, through to how are complaints handled, how are my suspensions coming through. Experience that all as for yourself as a client. Just go step by step by step through all of that. If I get to a point where I don't have a system in place to solve this and to do it repeatedly, build one. And then move to the next thing, build one, move to the next one, build one. If you do that over time, sure, it'll take a little bit of time. You guys are watching YouTube videos about how to be successful. Maybe you're on here hoping that there's a magic bullet. There isn't. All of this stuff takes time, but every single time you do it, you'll become better. And that's ultimately what's going to keep you in the game long term, is being the best. Important to remember, once you've done it from a client perspective, also do it from your perspective. How do you actually manage your business? What does it look like when you log in on Monday morning and go through, maybe you don't even have a check-in, start there. What are you actually managing in the check-in? What's your system for how you're doing your phone calls and how you're doing this and how you're doing that from your own end? How are you managing your suspensions, cancellations? Do you have an admin email address so people can send stuff to? Do you have all of these fail-safes in place to maximize your efficiency, your effectiveness, and ultimately your client outcomes and your business's bottom line? Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button, you like it, and then send it off to as many personal trainers as you so please, and help them try and find systems in their business so we can start to run real businesses in the fitness industry and start to get the respect for that and improve the perception of what it means to be a personal trainer and what it means to run a personal training business. So stop working for your clients, start running a business. Love to hear what you think in the comments. Chat soon. See you next week for service.